Hey Matt, I think that this plate loading right here, pretty interesting as a muscle confusion. Who's your coach? All right, guys, so I have a few updates to my training I wanted to let you know about because I am locked back in on powerlifting after my brief hiatus going into more bodybuilding work. I just really enjoy powerlifting, looking good, feeling good, trying to just find that good balance between strength and aesthetics. So I'm locked back in, and these are sort of the changes that we are making to my training because I've noticed a few things. So first thing with my squat, we are going to a 3 times a week frequency. We're doing my primary squat day on Saturday, my secondary squat day on Monday, which you're seeing here, and then just a third squat day, which is just really light belt squats to bridge the gap between my secondary day and my primary day, just to feel a little bit more poppy in my legs. And what we're doing right now is we are doing my primary day is just a one top set with really, really light sub 5 RPE back down work. A theme with my squat work in general is that I need most of it to feel pretty light and for my reps to move fast because squats are just a very fatiguing pattern for me. And so having things just be lighter in general tends to be good. I also only typically have one really good set per day. Joe was giving me on my primary day a second top set for heavier rep work, but I just found that was just really hard for me to do. So we're moving that second heavier rep top set to my secondary day as my last ascending set with a small increase in volume as well on that day, just to get me a little more used to the volume. Here you'll see me, I'm doing, a set of 15 on belt squats. On all my squatting patterns, I seem to respond a little better to lighter work that just allows me to move faster and get more and more volume. I've just always responded that way to it. And then we are also doing split squats right now just to help improve deep hip flexion and some anti-rib rotation to improve some of my pain symptoms I've had with my QL, since it does flare up every now and then. It doesn't feel 100%, and I do believe that has to do with some sort of mobility restriction as I've developed as I've powerlifted and gotten stronger. So there are some times you do need some corrective exercises in your programming to help with pain symptoms and accessing certain range of motion deficits, increasing mobility. So that's why those are in there. Similarly to that, on deadlift, I'm doing single leg dumbbell RDLs to also help improve that. So yeah, that's the again on my left side QL. With deadlift right now, there's a little bit more unknowns just because I don't know where my top end is, because there's been changes with I switched to a Texas deadlift bar, so I don't know where my top end is. I've hit 694 in the gym, and I hit 711 on the platform. That was on the Kabuki bar, and things just feel different. So trying to be a little bit more flexible and patient with that. But the biggest thing for me right now, as far as programming goes, is that there's a rate of exposure change where I'm having only 3 days of rest before my primary day instead of 5. I just kind of found that my secondary deadlift day was starting to feel stronger than my primary day, and that could be because it's further removed from my primary squat. Could just be because I have a more of an ideal rate of exposure of only 3 days of rest between my secondary deadlift day and my primary day, just with how it's set up. But we're going to try that out right now and see how I feel with that. But really, overall, my overall focus is just getting squat to feel good, because my deadlift usually tends to follow my squat, and I don't need a lot of super heavy work to really get stronger. Again, on deadlift, I get overly fatigued if I have lots of heavy down sets. It needs to just be, everything needs to move light, fluidly. That's also how I incorporate the best technique into my overall deadlift, because if I see things start getting kind of hard, I start to round my overall back too much, and that's just not what I want. I am stronger in flexion, but I want to only allow that flexion in my upper back and not really my lower back like I tend to. That's also probably causing some pain symptoms, and the lighter volume work tends to reinforce me feeling better and having better technique practice in general. That translates over to my top end. And then on bench changes, it's just hard to recover from now because I'm so much leaner than I've really ever been. I have to do more work per rep, but I know that I need more volume in general on pressing patterns just to feel stronger. So we're doing a lot more volume in terms of variations. I don't do a lot of heavy bench work, and I have a hypothesis that if I can do more variations, more bodybuilding work, I think I'm going to be able to get stronger and have that drive a little bit more of my progress than just focusing on bench press like I have in the past. So, just a little bit more volume coming from accessories, less overall intensity on my bench press and specificity there, just trying to get the minimum effective dose right now. And then we're also moving my priming day, because I'm having more issues with like recovery, which my priming day is just a light 5x10 or RPE 5 cap, usually around, low 200s, to being on Thursday instead of Friday. So I have one day to recover going into my primary bench session. and hopefully that helps me feel better. And having a little more frequent pressing as well as more frequent squatting should help with me feeling a little bit less sore. So I've found anecdotally I get less sore if I'm training a movement pattern more often. So that is really the training updates. I'm excited to run this and see what things happen. Again, I have 20 weeks to feel strong, so I'm pacing things in that direction. You'll see in the next clip I talk about that, about what the overall plan is, and then that Joe and I have right now. But right now, I'm back in a small calorie surplus. Goal is to gain about 2 pounds a month. If you're gaining less than that, it's hard to know where you're actually at, if you're actually growing. But I bumped up to 191, so about 2 pounds up. This could be maintenance, could be a surplus. I don't know. You really have to assess your true surplus and rate of gain after the first week of diet, since there's changes in water weight. So we'll see what happens, but I'm kind of just being a little more auto-regulated with things, going off of how I'm feeling, recovery, energy, etc., and just eating that way. So hopefully I can be 200 pounds by August. So on the next clip, I'll talk about my periodization plans for my top sets. All right, so my coach Joe Stanek and I had a really good call yesterday, sort of about my plan for this next block of training, and really the overall training cycle going into this next meet. So I do basically 5 week training blocks. Week one is basically a deload week, and then I have 4 weeks of accumulation. So what we kind of sort of figured out is that for me, I don't do very well if I stick down with the higher intensities on really any of my lists. It kind of burns me out, and I find it really difficult to create training momentum. Also, for some reason, doubles are disproportionately fatiguing for me. So we have made the choice to not do doubles, and sort of have this progression scheme where we're having a block of 5, 4, 3, and one. Just because I have really good data that's sort of what I respond best to. Was sort of more of this traditional, I guess it's kind of like a block periodization, rather than more of a volume accumulation blocks, and then I have my more intensity blocks towards the very end. Um, so basically, these two phases, if you guys are familiar with Rondell Hunt, he basically talks about rebounding, um, a building phase, and then a progressing phase. So basically, what I'm going to have is two building phases after this rebounding phase. Where basically my goals for this block are just to sort of hit these numbers where I am. It's an indicator of I'm strong enough for this on the I'm around my baseline level of strength. Um, so this is sort of what the idea is going to be. Basically, looking for like, you know, 2.5 to 5 kilo PRs at lower intensities, um, on my building blocks, and then that's why I already have goals set out for myself for these two blocks. And by the way, like I'm okay if these are undershot, because I can if these are undershot and I just keep going. I know when I go into like block three and I can have a triple at 9, I can push a little bit harder. Because that will give me more of an indicator of like, okay, I can push my singles this far, because this is probably around where my top end is at right now, and then we can basically ramp into the meet based off of that. So this is sort of my overall plan. 20 weeks out. One of these blocks will likely have to be like a 4 week block, which will probably be block 4, because week 5 will be my meet week where we have a taper. Um, but yeah, if you have a coach, you should definitely hop on calls with them. Like, for example, like if I have a client who's like, I have a meet on this date, we immediately get on a phone call. We talk about this is exactly what's going to look like. And like, even if you don't have a meet, like you should have a plan in general of how you're going to make progress for at least like 3 months nutritionally, and then training wise. So this is sort of my plan for the next few months. Again, planning on competing on August 2nd. Totally locking in right now on powerlifting. So this is sort of the overall general plan. So hopefully it makes sense.